How one do you think to the right?
Well, just kind of just a joint night out with the band, really like really amazing.
Creative black.
This is Danielle DeLate for the New Music Buzz, and we're here at the Screen Australia and Australians in Film Oscar nominees reception. The evening is celebrating a record-breaking 13 Australian Oscar nominees. For the first time in history, we have 2 Australian films nominated for Best Picture, Hacksaw Ridge and Lion, and Tenor is the first Australian film to be nominated for Best Foreign Film. The red carpet's about to start, so let's check it out. Now, being a 2-time Oscar nominee yourself, how do you think people are feeling here tonight? You know, we've got 13 Australian Oscar nominations.
It's great. It's so lovely. As people keep saying, we punch above our weight, and I think it's true. They do. It's a long time since I went back. I did do one film and a TV series, but I've been here 6 years now, and it's lovely to have all these Australians doing so well in the Oscars. 25 million people, and there are 330 million here, so it's pretty good.
We're doing quite well.
Yeah.
Yes. So what have you been up to lately?
I'm about to make a film with Christopher Walken and then one with Sienna Miller. I just finished a film with Melissa McCarthy, and before that one with Jack Black, where I had a bed scene with Jason Schwartzman. Isn't that impressive? And
what was that like? Now you've mentioned it, I've got to ask you more about that.
I was very nervous. It's been a while since especially with a young man half my age. But
I'm sure you had fun.
Well, he was so sweet. I stopped being so nervous after a while.
What has been the best experience you've had since making the movie Lion?
सबसे अच्छा जब मूवी बन रहा था सबसे अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस आपका कौन सा था शूटिंग करते हुए?
स्पून सीन था, सब भागने का सीन था और ट्रेन का सीन था.
So basically my most favorite was the running sequence because I'm a kid and I used to love and play. So wherever Garth used to tell me to run, so that was my favorite scene. Otherwise my other favorite scenes were the train sequence where there was a train involved, and the other one was the spoon where he was playing with the spoon outside the window. So that's been his 2-3 favorite scenes in the movie.
Oh wow, thank you so much for talking to us tonight, and I love your shoes, you look very handsome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're both nominated for your work on the score for Lion. Now how do you go about depicting the sounds of, say, Tasmania in Australia to then going to a totally different landscape of Calcutta, India? How did that happen?
Well, when he asked us, we knew that we weren't going to make a cultural score. We weren't going to use Indian instruments, and the heart of the film is really the emotional journey. And I think that he had the idea, Garth Davis, the director, had the idea of putting us together. Hauschka does prepared piano works, and so I think he had the idea that our 2 sounds could combine to create a dimension in the sense of India could have a lot of textures. There's a lot of smells. There's a lot of, it's a chaotic place, and he's this little boy in this incredible journey. And then the second half of the film is more internal, and so I think that's our music reflects that naturally in some ways. So I think that's why he was attracted to having us do it.
Yes. And what kind of inspiration did you draw on for the music that I know it's the movie and that, but when you think of these sounds, how do you find inspiration?
Well, Garth Davis had a very strong image when he was, a strong feeling about the music, and also in the edit there was already our records, music from our records edited in there. So we found already pieces of music that we wrote. So in a way, it was much easier because we're both pianists, so it was also clear there's a piano involved. And I have to say, I think we were not thinking so much about the place and the time. I think we were much more thinking about the emotional state of mind and making it modern, because, the topic of the movie is so actual and, I would say it can happen in every country. So in a way, we felt like it's maybe nice that we are very authentic in what we are doing. Yeah. So you find mainly both of our music in the score.
Now, Graham, talk to me about this historic year for Australian films with the 13 Oscar nominations. How did you feel when you found out about that?
I was pretty stoked because obviously they get announced during the middle of the night, our time. So I got up in the morning pretty early and I was just blown away. Because honestly, last year I thought nothing could top Mad Max Fury Road. And then, oh yes it can. So it's extraordinary, and 3 very different films too, so that's exciting.
And tell me a little bit about how Screen Australia was involved in with the 3 films.
Kind of interestingly, slightly differently in each one, so it's a good sort of snapshot of how the federal government tries to assist. Tanner, the guys had shot a whole lot of footage, and then they were trying to work out how to turn it into the film that it became, so we came on board at that point. And then Lion, we were involved from the get-go with the script and giving them script development money and then production money. And then on Hacksaw Ridge, that was one where they accessed the tax offset, the producer offset. So it's still an Australian movie. It's not a studio film coming down because obviously Mel Gibson coming home to film again, and the script was written by an Australian, and everybody, I think, apart from 6 people out of the 300 were Australian on that project.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And what's coming up next for Screen Australia? What are you working on at the moment?
Well, we have a lot, because we cover film and telly. I think last year we did 98 documentaries, we did about 20 TV dramas and about 20 films, but we've got a whole lot of great stuff coming through. We've got the brand new Top of the Lake from Jane Campion. We've got Simon Baker's directorial debut as a film called Breath. There's a lot of things coming through. And also I should mention the Lego Batman movie, of course, is made by an Australian company, by Animal Logic. So, you know, we're on a bit of a roll right now.
Yeah, lots of exciting things happening. I can't wait to see what next year brings.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything. Now, as a cinematographer, I found that in Lion, a lot of the emotion was shown through, you know, non-verbal kind of, I guess, cinematographically, I don't know how to pronounce this, but, you know, you showed a lot of the motion through just the camera work and conveyed it that way rather than speech.
Well, yeah, because half of the film is in Hindi, we had to resort to, it's not a bad thing to do, but we had to resort a lot to relying very much on the visuals. So, because it's a universal language. So we gave a lot of thought to exactly what each scene, how to tell it without actually saying anything. Because it's important. I mean, there are obviously subtitles, but we don't want the audience just reading words for the whole film. So we tried really hard to make sure we concentrated on making some of the most arresting and most powerful visuals we could to tell that little boy's story.
And how did you do that when you went to India and went on this journey with this film? What did you learn?
We spent a lot of time in prep, sort of walking around, photographing the places. You know, I've spent a lot of time in India with Jodie, my wife, who runs a charity in India and has a company in India. So we have a great love of India, and we've been there numerous times. So to receive the call to come to India to film this story was incredible, and I felt like I hadn't had the opportunity to film such beauty there. So it was a great opportunity to do that.
The visual effects were so realistic. It really brought me right into the movie, and just I felt like I was there in a way. How did you achieve that?
I mean, at the end of the day, that was our goal, so I'm glad that you felt like you were there. It was just a combination of great filmmaking with a really good director, Peter Berg, and just a good team behind us that we were able to just get the right stuff into the right framing, and it just helped tell the story and help pull the audience into that such violent but realistic night that happened. So.
Well, congratulations on your great work for that.
Thank you.
Now, what's coming up next for you?
Next up, we just finished, we're just wrapping up now. The team back in Sydney's wrapping up on a movie right now. It's like a couple of days they got to go on that. And then we're starting up on a movie called Bright with David Ayer as the director. So we'll can't say much more about that, but that's kind of our next 6 months kind of time frame. Yeah.
Great, I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy celebrating this weekend.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. So talk to me about Tanner and how the movie came about. It's quite an amazing historic feat for Australian film.
It started as an idea to make a story in collaboration with a traditional community, and Bentley and Martin had been to Tanner before, and so that was the idea. Let's go and see if it's possible to do that and find a story that is authentic to their world and from their own experience, and then how to make that into a feature film for the rest of the world. So that started with a lot of talking and listening until a story started to emerge and a process to make a film from it.
And even though it's a story that it may not be in English, I think overall everyone can relate to it because it's a story about love. You know, it's universal. Absolutely, and that's something that was there early on, the idea that all societies need to constantly transform, including traditional societies. They're not locked in one time, and that here we've got
individual freedom versus communal good are the two forces at play. And, you know, when and in what country and in what period of time has that not been an issue everywhere? So, big universal themes, but in a pretty interesting world.
Yes, definitely. And talk to me a little bit about your work on the movie, Tanner.
Yes, I'm the composer, so I was brought on fairly late in the field. Martin and Bentley said they've got a unique film, and I thought, yeah, I've heard that one before. And this is, I saw it, and it's truly unique. And I mean, it's got two lovers embracing on the rim of a volcano that's erupting. And I said, so how'd you do those special effects? And it's like, there's no special effects. It's all for real. So yeah, they had a lot of recordings of the singing and dancing that the tribe used, because it's such a culturally rich society. So I used some of those themes as the basis for the compositions, and even some of the recordings which I've manipulated form part of that base. But at the end of the day, I still have to sort of be emotionally manipulative in my musical storytelling. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like a one-off project that you probably wouldn't get the chance to work on very often.
It will never happen again. Yeah.
This is Jackie Weaver, and you've just been buzzed.
Well, it was kind of just a joint night out with the band, really, like, really, really amazing.